Hey everyone, welcome back. It's kind of an awkward angle to look at the camera, but I've got the camera focused on my piano today, so you're not going to see much of my face, but you will see my hands. So if you have a piano at home or a keyboard, go ahead and sit at it. I'm going to give you some things that would be worthwhile exploring as a beginning keyboard student, just to familiarize yourself with the instrument you're playing on. And this will work for a regular piano, for a keyboard. Most keyboards are 4 octaves, so they're really more about this length and not the full keyboard. Some of them are, but you might have one of the shorter ones. A lot of virtual keyboards, like on tablets and on phones, they might just have about this much, which makes things a little bit more difficult, just to kind of get the full feel of things, but not impossible. So don't be discouraged if that's all you have. You can still make use of it. So what I would encourage you to do is just familiarize yourself with everything that's going on here. So I would start with the stuff that we talked about in the patterns in the last video. Let's start with the black notes. Go through the entire keyboard, 3 fingers, go through and find every single one of your groups of 3 black notes and just play them. You might have done something like this before. And then go through, you can go up or down or both, then go through with 2 fingers and find all the groups of 2. You might notice that at the very bottom, is that on the camera? Yeah, I think it is. There's one lone little black note, and it's actually the top of a set of 3, but there's no room at the bottom to actually complete it. So consider that one a set of 3 if you have a full piano. Okay, so go through and find all your groups of 2, all your groups of 3, just familiarize yourself, and then you can go through and remember our alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for our pitches that we did in the last video. Go through, choose any letter, and find all of them. Find all of them and find all of them as fast as you can. So for instance, we learned in the last video that if you find a group of 2 black notes, that the note in between it is a D, right? And so that would make this one a C and this one an E, right? C, D, E, in our alphabet, A, B, C, D, E. Remember that the alphabet goes this way. So I'm just going to choose one. Let's just choose C. That's a really common one. Yeah? And so we're going to find all the groups of 2 black notes and play the one to the left, which is C. Get real used to them. And just start at the top or the bottom, work your way down. Even a little top one up there. Right? The faster you can find them, the better. And then choose a different letter. And it doesn't have to go in order. It doesn't have to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can go C, E, G, F, B, I don't care, but just get used to finding all of them as quick as you can and where they land in that pattern of 2 and 3 black notes. Always very useful. Another thing you can do as you're familiarizing yourself with the keyboard is learn to play a chromatic scale, up and down. And you can use fancy fingering like I'm about to show you, or you can use, just one finger that's moving its way up and down the keyboard. Depends on what you want to be doing with it. But a chromatic scale means you're hitting every note, white and black, all the way down, all the way up, and they're all half steps. We'll get into more details on that later. It sounds like this. Now you might not use that fancy fingering. If you want that later, you can just email me and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. You just use these 3 fingers, mostly these 2, finger 1 and finger 3. This one you use in the transition where there's 2 white notes in a row. I can show you that if you're interested, but this also works. Handy dandy little pointer finger. Okay, so just get used to it. I find that some people, when they're first starting out, do great when it's white note, black note, white note, black note. When you get to the 2 white notes in a row, right here, a lot of beginners tend to skip the second white note for some reason. They go to the next black note, I think because they're used to the pattern, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, and they want to go to black. But just know where those groups of 2 white notes are. In fact, that's another thing you could find if you're playing them on the piano. Find everywhere where there are 2 white notes in a row with no black note in between. Let's see, where's an easy place to see that? Maybe right here. right? So there's 2 white notes, and if you look all the way up here, there's no black note in between. So be aware of where those are. So practice your chromatic scale going down, going up, and just whatever comes to mind. Just get yourself used to it, okay? The other thing you can do is something called the pentatonic scale. And penta means 5, right? And pentatonic scale, there are lots of them. One of the really easy ones to start improvising right away on the piano with is the one that uses just these black notes, right? So you've got a set of 2 and a set of 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, pentatonic. That is a pentatonic scale, very common worldwide. In fact, there's going to be a link to a video with Bobby McFerrin on one of the slides in here on just the flexibility of the things you can do with the pentatonic scale. I highly recommend you watch it. It's really super fun. And if you're interested in doing something a little bit more advanced, just send me a message, send me an email, and I can tell you what chords you can play with your left hand while improvising with your right hand using just the black notes. But for now, if you're just brand new to all of this, just mess around with your black notes. Whatever you feel like doing, okay? There's so much value in just messing around sometimes, okay? So there's your assignment for this week. You're going to make sure you know all the letter names. You can even say them out loud. C, C, C. F, 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 whatever you're doing. Make sure you can find the groups of 3s and 2s really, really fast. Mess around with a pentatonic scale. Make sure you can play the chromatic scale, every single note going down and going up, and you're gonna start to make some really good connections. Next week, we'll start a little bit more on the difference between our half steps in that chromatic scale. 2 halves make a whole. So we're also going to start messing with some whole steps next week and how you put together the major scale, which is really important in our world, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that's all coming next week, and learning a little bit more about how to connect what's here to what might be in your sheet music up here. So that's coming. But for now, just make sure you're really super familiar, make friends with this keyboard, and have a little fun.